Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we take a huge stack of research articles, notes, all of it, and we distill it down for you.
So you can get to the heart of it right away.
Exactly. And our mission today is pretty ambitious. We're diving into an ancient Peruvian city.
And its incredible connection or claimed connection to the stars.
And not just the stars. Two major architectural sites thousands of miles away. We're focused on Chan, this sprawling ancient city outside Trujillo, Peru.
Sometimes called the ancient rainbow city.
Right. And our sources suggest this place isn't just a ruin, it's a map. A kind of a divine reflection of the Orion Constellation, which is pegged specifically to the layout of the Great Pyramids of Giza.
It's a huge claim. And the material we're looking at, it connects so many different threads. You've got ancient Peruvian architecture, celestial alignment theories.
Orion and the Pleiades.
Yep. Then there's mythology around this figure of Viracocha. And then it all fast forwards into modern religious narratives. It's a lot.
So we're basically trying to see if there is a common knowledge source, some kind of blueprint that spans oceans and time, linking Peru to Egypt.
That's the core question. So let's unpack it. How does a city on the coast of Peru mirror the cosmos? And, of all places, Egypt?
And maybe more importantly, what did these celestial architects supposedly want?
That is the rabbit hole we're heading down. From ancient engineering straight into modern theology.
Okay, let's start with the basics. Chan itself. What was it?
Well, you can think of it as the ancient Trujillo city complex. It was the heart of the Chimu kingdom, a huge hub for commerce, politics, everything.
We're not talking about a small village here.
No, not at all. This was a megalopolis. It had these monumental structures like the Temple of the Rainbow, the Pyramid of the Dragon, and even pyramids of the Sun and the Moon.
And the scale of it is really central to this whole theory.
It's absolutely critical. The analysis we've reviewed suggests the entire complex, the layout of the palaces, the pyramids, everything, was patterned after the belt stars of Orion.
Matching the Giza pyramids.
In both proportion and layout. When you superimpose Orion over Chan, the landmarks are claimed to be just astonishingly accurate markers for the stars.
But there's a really weird twist in this blueprint, isn't there? Something that suggests it was very deliberate.
Exactly. This is the detail the sources point to as proof of intent. The Orion map at Chan is reversed.
Reversed.
A mirror image. It's flipped compared to how we see it in the sky and how it's laid out at Giza. So if Giza is the map, Chan is its perfect reflection.
Okay, so why? Why do that? If you're mapping the stars, why flip it?
Well, according to this analysis, the reversal is the key. It's a sign of advanced encoding. It's a way of saying, we understand this geometry so perfectly, we can manipulate it.
A kind of signature.
You could say that. And there are specific astronomical alignments that are supposed to anchor this whole thing.
Okay, what are they? How do they connect Chan to the sky and to Egypt at the same time?
The sources point to two main anchors. First, the galactic equator. It passes directly through Mintaka, one of the stars in Orion's belt.
Right.
That line, the galactic equator, supposedly runs parallel to the ocean, right next to the city complex. It pins the entire site to a major cosmic coordinate.
Wow. And the second one?
The second one is maybe even more startling. The sources claim that the main palace complex, the one that represents Orion's belt, is oriented with incredible precision directly toward Giza.
Toward Giza, thousands of miles away.
Thousands of miles away. It suggests a shared single knowledge source, a common coordinate system used by two cultures separated by 7,000 miles and 4,000 years.
Okay, so this is where it gets really mythological, right? The common thread that supposedly ties these cultures together is a person, Viracocha.
Viracocha is absolutely central to the argument. He's described in Andean legends as this creator god, or maybe a priest king who came before the Incas.
Usually connected to a great flood narrative.
Yes, and the rebirth of civilization.
Yeah.
But the sources we're looking at are very specific. They say he came from the Orion and Pleiades star systems.
And the descriptions of him are unusual for the region.
Very. He's consistently described as having blue eyes and a blonde beard. His role was always as a bringer of knowledge, a teacher, a priest, a peacemaker.
But the end of his story is what really stands out.
It's critical to the source's main point. He was said to have been crucified on a cross, and he promised to return at the end of the age to, again, save humanity.
The parallels are impossible to ignore. It feeds right into that ancient alien theory connecting star gods to human origins.
It does. Viracocha was said to have left on a flying serpent machine, and of course promised to come back in one.
So the sources frame this as evidence for the Pleiadian theory.
Right. that beings from the Pleiades are genetic creators, or at least manipulators, and Chan Chan was basically a massive temple complex dedicated to these Orion star gods.
And the sources connect this whole story back to much older theological text.
You do. The argument is that this star god story is just the American version of the fallen angels narrative from the time of Enoch.
So Viracocha and his group are equated with the fallen angels who rebelled.
That's the interpretation. And their motivation, according to the source, was to insert themselves as the gods of old. But their influence led to a spiritual collapse.
The human sacrifice rituals.
Exactly. The source suggests their worship devolved into these bloody rites, which were supposedly necessary to feed these entities. And this systemic corruption is presented as the reason Jehovah judged the Americas.
Using the European invasion as the instrument of that judgment.
Much like Babylon was used to judge ancient Israel. It's a very specific theological framing.
And then the narrative dives deep into genetics, which is where it gets really esoteric.
It really does.
Yeah.
The source claims the ultimate goal wasn't just worship, it was genetic alteration. That these beings wanted to perfect the human race in their own image, diluting the original gene pool.
It sounds a lot like the pre-flood accounts in Genesis.
It's a direct reference. The source links this to the New Testament, where Jesus says this kind of corruption would happen again right before his return, the days of Noah. And the source highlights that Noah was found perfect in his generations, implying his human genome was pure, it was uncorrupted.
And the source sees modern genetic tech as the fulfillment of that prophecy.
Yes, that the manipulation is happening again right now.
Okay, let's bring this back to the physical map of Chan Chan, because the source claims there are modern correlations that tie this whole ancient story into the 21st century.
This is where it gets really specific and, frankly, very strange. It overlays this ancient map onto modern structures, specifically a Mormon church complex built near Chan Chan.
Okay, so what's the connection?
Well, first, some context. In ancient traditions, Orion was seen as the guardian of something called the Silver Gate in the sky.
A known cosmic marker.
Right. And according to the source, a specific Mormon church complex lines up perfectly with this celestial location. It's positioned right above the spot on the map, corresponding to Orion's outstretched arms.
In the church itself.
The source describes the building as looking like the Silver Gate. It's silvery in color, and from a top-down view, it has a star-like shape. It's a symbol of the gate itself.
So the implication here is that the modern architects were in on it.
That is exactly what the source claims, that both the ancients and this modern religious group share knowledge of this cosmic layout, and they bring in very precise measurements to back it up.
Let's get into the numbers, because in this kind of material, the numbers themselves are usually part of the message.
That's a crucial point. The source is absolutely focused on numerology. For instance, the Mormon temple, the Silver Gate, its distance to the Mintaka star pattern is cited as 66 arc seconds on a 60-degree heading.
66, that's a loaded number.
It is. And then you have the ley lines of the main Orion Giza overlay. They're reportedly at a 33-degree angle to the galactic equator line.
33, another major esoteric number.
And 72 degrees to that same Silver Star Mormon church. 72 is also highly significant in many traditions. So you have 33, 72, 66. The source says these are not accidents.
And there was one more, 444, found inside the ruins themselves.
Yes. The distance between two palace chambers linked to the star Mintaka is 444 feet. In numerology, 444 can symbolize things like resurrection or divine completion. The point is, the source argues these engineers were using a common esoteric language,
encoding specific numerical messages into the planet itself.
across vast distances and thousands of years.
Okay, let's move into the final part of this, which is probably the most sensitive. The source directly links the Mormon narrative to this whole Pleiadian conspiracy. And just to be clear for everyone listening, we are reporting impartially on the claims made in the source material. We're not endorsing them.
Absolutely. We have to be very clear on that. The source claims that the Mormon narrative, which some call a third testament, fits perfectly with the story of gods coming from the stars to seed humanity.
How so?
Well, their storyline has celestial figures like the angel Moroni, and their depiction of Jesus Christ is consistently a blonde-bearded, blue-eyed figure who came from the stars, specifically to the Americas.
And what about their core beliefs about God?
The source describes their gospel as being fundamentally cosmological. It says their God, Elohim, is just one of many gods who came from a physical planet, and that followers can ascend to become gods themselves.
Which mirrors the Viracocha story.
It mirrors it very closely, according to this analysis.
Now, this is where the source makes a very pointed claim about race, and we need to report this carefully.
Yes, the source states, and we're quoting the interpretation here, that this literature alleges that their Christ only came to save the white race. It claims the darkening of skin in the Americas, a reference to the Lamanites, was a curse for sin. The source then frames this entire belief system as a mission to whitewash Native Americans away from the true Christian gospel.
It's a very forceful conclusion.
It is. The source ties everything together, the reverse map, the numbers, the theology, to argue it's all part of a cosmic Luciferian conspiracy meant to usurp the real gospel.
And in this view, the feathered serpent god Quetzalcoatl, Pakulkan, is equated with Orion, the light bearer.
The celestial light bearer, yes,
Yeah.
a foundational cosmic deception.
And what's the final speculation? The end game.
The source speculates that the future Antichrist could be the fulfillment of this prophecy, the return of Viracocha or Kukulkan or this Mormon Jesus coming to save humanity. The source calls this the lie that will be believed.
So, to pull this all together, we have an ancient city, Chan Chan, built on a reversed celestial map of Giza and Orion.
We have a mythological figure, Viracocha, whose story echoes across continents and through millennia.
And we have these incredibly precise, numerologically significant measurements that supposedly link Peru, Egypt, and a modern church.
It raises a really profound question. I mean, whether you accept any of the specific narratives, ancient alien, theological conspiracy, whatever, the architectural evidence cited in the sources suggests a shared, sophisticated knowledge of astronomy and geometry.
A knowledge that spanned continents and predates recorded history.
It forces you to ask about the origins of our most profound religious and political systems. Could they share a common, hidden source code?
The source we reviewed claims the Orion Pleiades motif is encoded in almost every important ancient site because that's where the Luciferian rebellion supposedly began. So for you, the listener, here's the final thought.
If the throne of Jehovah is, as some traditions hold, somehow connected to Orion and the Pleiades,
How does that celestial focus change your view of the meaning hidden in the ruins of the world's most important ancient sites?
something to think about.
Thank you for joining us for this intense deep dive. We'll see you next time.